We're on the clock now with a minute as a group to explore each one of the following notable headlines from the week. First, with the gubernatorial election about 2 months away, debate season is upon us. Governor Susana Martinez and challenger Gary King have agreed to 2 televised debates, one at KOAT and one at Univision, which will be in Spanish. Or at least one person will be in Spanish, one will be using an interpreter. That would be Mr. King. They will also participate in a forum with the commercial real estate development group called NIOP, where the candidates receive the questions in advance. That will be televised on KOB TV. The 2 candidates will speak separately at a forum in Las Cruces, but not debate. And Ms. Martinez turned down requests from the New Mexico Press Association, Congregation Albert, and another from a consortium of public television and radio stations from around the state, including us here at KNME. Russell, interesting strategy by the governor. You know, I don't think this is a Republican or a Democrat thing. Does she need to debate in the position she's in now?
This reminds me a lot of 1998 with Governor Bush when I was in Texas. He was way ahead, and he agreed to limit a number of debates. And I think that at the time he agreed to debate on Fridays, which is high school football day.
Interesting.
So it's just a manage to
a low television watching day, right? Exactly, Sophie.
I'm not sure that it really benefits the governor to participate in a ton of debates. I may eat my words later. One of the things that's really struck me, though, over the past year is that when we hear of the governor showing up at different Republican events, it's been very controlled, and I wonder if this isn't part of that issue.
Interesting, yeah. Inez?
What we said, editorially speaking, is that obviously incumbents who are ahead don't want to debate, but if you're a governor who's looking for a national career, the more you mix it up, the better off you might be later.
That's interesting.
You know, I think this is short-sighted.
Yeah. Tom, your thoughts?
Debates are not a constitutional right, but in this day of spin, quote unquote, it's a necessity. So I'm glad we have the ones that we do, but sometimes I think there's too much overkill.
There you go. But our offer is still out there, Governor. Our offer is still there. We'd love to have you. The Navajo Nation held a primary this week, and it was a resounding defeat for current President Ben Shelley, who finished in 7th place. The lead spot was taken by former President Joe Shirley, followed by 42-year-old Chris Descheny. He's a military veteran, an attorney, and a former state lawmaker in Arizona. Mr. Descheny says he'll work to protect the Navajo way of life, the environment, and the tribe's natural resources. And Mr. Shelley has touted his record as president, including some things that others see as liabilities, such as purchasing a coal mine and water rights agreement that didn't pass the tribal council, you might remember. But Mr. Shirley speaks fluent Navajo and campaigned by singing traditional songs. Mr. Descheny does not speak fluent Navajo and campaigned for a new generation of leadership. And Sophie, this could be a really interesting campaign.
I think it's fascinating. I think in particular that the return of Shirley is big news. It is, you know, unfortunate. 7th place is not a good place to end up, but I think this is one to watch.
Russell?
This is totally a generational thing. These are the new generation trying to make the way and try to make reforms on the reservation versus the old effort. And I think we're going to see very interesting race at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. There was like 17 candidates, I seem to remember as well. It's a ton of candidates. It's amazing.
And watching the Twitter feed from the Navajo Times with the debate in Navajo was fascinating, because how do you compete for those votes if you can't speak Navajo at the end? But he does have a Twitter handle, Ye Go Chris. So he's going after it, and we'll see if the new generation has enough votes and gets out there.
It's going to be interesting, Tom.
It's going to be a great political race because of the 50,000 votes cast, the top 2 candidates collected only 20,000.
Right.
So literally there's 30,000 votes up for grabs.
Isn't that something? Going to be one to watch here. In the wake of the resignation of Albuquerque Public Schools Superintendent Winston Brooks, the APS board has selected Brad Winter to fill the role as an interim basis. Mr. Winter retired as Chief Operating Officer from APS 3 months ago and serves on the ABQ City Council, as you know. The reason for Mr. Brooks' departure remains a mystery. Brooks got a $350,000 buyout of his contract. Now a pair of board members with APS say they want shorter contracts for future superintendents. The typical tenure of superintendents nationally is about 3.5 years in metropolitan areas, according to an executive search firm. And Todd, that's an interesting point on the length of the tenure, but I want to concentrate on Brad Winter falling on his sword for $200,000 a year. I kid. Someone's going to be paid to do this. But anyway, I'm sort of a fan of his. He's got so much experience with APS, but he doesn't want to be full-time. You know, interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, you know, I think Brad Winter's the smart choice.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, you know, talking about shorter contracts is a smart thing.
Right.
I don't see any problem in having the superintendent have the same kind of contract as a teacher.
A few more seconds.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? as a
Well,
teacher?
teachers have year-to-year contracts.
Okay.
Why shouldn't a superintendent?
What do you think of that, Inez?
I don't care if it's a longer contract. I just want an ability to fire somebody or let them go without paying them a bunch of money.
Right, exactly right.
That's a great point, actually. I think that I agree that Brad Winter is a very safe choice. I think it's going to end up being a quiet choice, at least in the short term. And it'll be interesting to see who they find next.
Full disclosure, I used to cover APS when Tom Garrity was, right when he was the superintendent.
Right.
I will say this, if you limit the contracts, you do limit the type of Ken that you get.
That's
for
so
the-
true.
So you have a national, aggressive, ambitious reformers, they're not going to want to come to Albuquerque if they see instability.
It's almost like they're like football coaches now, superintendents. You know what I mean? These big giant contracts, and if you have to get rid of them, you got to pay them a ton of money. It gets crazy. Now, the Santa Fe City Council has adopted a measure to decriminalize marijuana, avoiding the issue and the cost of getting it on the fall ballot after a petition drive. The ordinance makes having an ounce or less of pot only a civil infraction with a fine of just $25. The vote was 5-4. Councilor Bill Demas dissented, saying he lost a daughter to drugs, and he said people like himself should have had a chance to vote on the issue. Mayor Javier Gonzalez voted against the measure. I want to start with Inez on this one. You're up there in Santa Fe. I'm kind of surprised it didn't get put to the voters, but I see their point about avoiding the $80,000 worth of cost to do it.
I think that the councilor, that the majority anyway, realized that that's what the citizens would have voted anyway, and they were just going to skip it. And Mayor Gonzalez had a very good point that democracy is expensive and takes more time, but they went ahead and just said, we know what you want, we're going for it.
There you go. Tom, what'd you make of this?
It's a bubbling issue. It has bubbled first in Santa Fe, so it should be interesting to see how it bubbles in January in the 60-day session.
That's right. That's right.
My sense is that there is a push to get this type of initiative onto the ballots. There will be a group that's disappointed that it won't be voted on, not because they were going to vote against it, but because they hoped it would bring people to the polls.
We're finally catching up. I mean, 18 other states have already decriminalized marijuana.
That's right. That's right.
And 2 states have legalized it. So it's new, but we're catching up. And
It's a step.
Yeah,
right?
it's a step.
As they say. Thank you all for being here. We'll do the rest of these on the clocks on the web. And as always, all of us here at New Mexico in Focus appreciate your time and your effort to stay informed and engaged. Catch up with us anytime on social media by searching New Mexico in Focus. You can find archived interviews and bonus material from our shows on our YouTube channel and at newmexicoinfocus.org. I'm Gene Grant. We'll see you next week in Focus.